Hey Joe,
Hey Sonia, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Have had better days. We're in the midst of coronavirus epidemic, pandemic here, and I think I've been kind of brave the last week or two, but it's starting to get to me a little bit.
I know, me too.
So,
And it's almost like it's finally starting to sink in. It's starting to hit, and I'm like, what the heck?
is that what it is? Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think I'm emotionally getting more and more. It's getting heavier, and I've been studying a lot about what potentially could happen in the economic world and what anticipating lack of revenue from our residential properties, multifamily, and
Hmm.
preparing what loan remedies might be available and all of that. But now that the time's getting closer for those things to actually start coming through, as we're getting calls from tenants and people who are pretty much going to say they're not going to pay rent.
Right.
Maybe you're right. It's the reality that's really hitting home.
Hmm. I
It's
think
yeah.
that's exactly right because my son and his wife, she
Hmm.
lost her job, and now
Right.
he's in fear of losing his job, and
Mm.
they call kind of in a panic, going, "Hey, we might have to live on the streets." I'm like, "No, no, 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 you don't have to live on the streets." And
Yeah.
I finally kind of
Yeah.
get that calmed down, but yeah, then you got the renters and
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
else. I lost a deal this week because the people decided not to go through
Uh,
with it because of
yeah.
everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'm like,
that's the scary
okay,
part. Well, things are just
yeah.
completely going on a halt, and I'm not sure how things are going to get back on its feet. But can we live for a month or two without anything happening? If nothing goes in or out, can we just stand still for a month or two? I don't know.
I don't know either, but there's always light because I'm, constantly talking to and working with financial people. This one gal
Mm-hmm.
actually has read the stimulus bill,
Mm-hmm.
and she had some great Facebook lives today about it. And it almost made me feel a little bit reassured that
Mm-hmm.
as um, entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
we're finally being recognized a little bit. Now,
Mm-hmm.
who's to say it's going to come to fruition? But it kind of made me
Mm-hmm.
feel a little bit better because before
Yeah. Yeah.
2008 hit, there was
Yeah.
like nothing for
Nothing.
small business owners.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it all kind of depends on what mindset you have. I read something a little hopeful and then I might feel better. And then I read something or hear something that might be a little discouraging and then I'm scared again. So it's very thin emotional times. And so
Well, and
this is
if you turn
why
on the
I called you
news, which
up and say, hey, let's talk about it because
that's
it's
right.
this is what our
Well,
show
because
to
if you
do,
turn on the
right?
news, I mean, everybody like once somebody's saying this and then somebody's saying this, and
Yeah,
oh, we're going to get
yeah.
you back to work in 2 weeks. Well, then no, it's going to be 2 or 3 months, and it's like, what? What is it?
Right,
And it's
right.
frustrating
So,
and it's
yeah,
draining.
but then if I don't keep up, if I want to take a break from the news or things, I'm afraid I'm gonna miss out. Not in the traditional FOMO sense, but there's so much information out there. Like, for example, the relief bill. If we
Hmm.
do we need to get on that right away? I have to get the paperwork started. In some ways, you feel like the resources that are available, you have to quickly go and stand in line for it.
I
So,
know.
it's like it's kind of a little bit like a toilet paper mentality. You got to go and get some and hoard it. And so I can't I can't entirely turn it off either. So
I know.
it's scary.
It is scary. Can you hold on just 1 second? I'm going to close my blinds and then maybe you can see me better.
Sure.
Oh, there you go. The sun is in and out today, so hang on a second. Yeah, I can't completely close it off either. I tried not to listen to the news earlier
Yeah.
today, but I'm like,
Yeah.
I have to watch something. I have to know what's
Yeah.
going on, especially after I watched this Facebook Live with this gal. And I thought, and if she was reading the stimulus
Mm.
bill,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wow, So then, of course, I had to go turn on the news. I didn't even
Mm.
know if it had passed or not, which it hasn't. As of
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
recording, it has not.
Right. Right.
It
But
sounds
it's
like it's going
likely to
to.
pass. And
Mhm.
then I start to worry about all the money that's going to be pumped into the system. And then I start worrying about inflation and hyperinflation. I mean, there's no, sometimes we always say knowledge is power. And I do believe that. But what is it? Analysis by paralysis.
Mhm. Analysis
I think
paralysis.
that might be happening to me right now
Mhm.
because I'm going way too far down the line and worrying about inflation, maybe even deflation and long-term effect of all this. And starting to feel a little bit like it's being unproductive for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yesterday, I can tell you I was productive all day. I got so many things done, like checked off my list. Today, not a thing. Well, I got one thing done. Two things now with this webinar.
Yeah,
So
there you go. Something positive.
something positive is
Yeah, yeah,
right. And I'm so glad you reached out to me because as sometimes that mental stress can also cause physical stress.
yeah,
And then we
yeah.
just never know how that's going to affect our bodies.
Right,
So,
right.
getting out and walking and exercising and stuff like that really helps too.
Oh,
But
so important, so important.
it's a tough time right now. And I think, like you said, reality's setting in, especially now that you're
Yeah,
getting phone calls.
yeah, yeah. I think though, I thought it would be a good time for us to talk about the fact that it does happen. We always
Mhm.
talk about investment is great. You have to be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, and there's always good things. But times like this, you do kind of wonder, and you wonder about your actions and judgments. And so I thought it would be a good opportunity to share our live experience and
Mhm.
fears as we're going through it. I certainly feel it. So
Yeah, I do too. And I almost feel it more than I ever thought I would. I didn't think
yeah,
I would
yeah,
feel it like this, but all of a sudden it's like it's kind of all come to a head.
right,
Like,
right.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So
and then sometimes when I have this, it's overwhelming, and so you have the desire to put your head in the sand and not come out for a while.
yes.
But then you're scared that you're gonna miss out on something. So those are the emotions that I'm feeling, and it's sometimes hard to deal with.
hmm and I get the same way because,
Hmm.
and what I do sometimes, I know in 2008, I seemed like I reached out to a lot of people, and when I wasn't getting an answer, I just put my head in the sand and
Yeah,
didn't do anything else.
yeah.
Now, thankfully, I've learned from then that you
Hmm.
don't do that, but
Yeah.
still, when everybody is feeling kind of the same way, they don't know which way to go or what to do. Like our
Right.
governor, she said yesterday in her news conference, she goes, just take a pause. Just take a
Mm.
pause, take a break, take a breath, and I'm like, yeah, I get
Yeah. Yeah.
that. But
Mhm.
when you're in real estate and your
Right.
livelihood depends on the rents
Right.
and, the people paying you, I have
Right.
one friend who rents in a different state and her landlord's giving her $250 off. And I'm like, okay, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But, so but thankfully she still has her job and she's
Mm-hmm.
an essential employee, so she'll keep her job. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what about the
Yeah.
people that don't have them?
Yeah, and while we are hearing from people that they may not be able to pay rent, and those are legitimate reasons. I have a tenant, for example, who has a small business and they're shut down, and so
Mm-hmm.
and I know she's been a really good tenant, so we're trying to work out a monetary payment arrangement. But I know also people. We have a student housing apartment complex, and schools closed down, of course, and our leases typically run until May because that's when school ends. And so they just simply want to leave, and there's no way we could get replacement tenant nor or salvage that revenue
Mm-hmm.
now. And so even though they're not impacted by coronavirus in the way their income is reduced, they're going to leave us without the income by which we
Mm-hmm.
could pay our mortgage and pay our people. We have to pay the people that are working there right now. So
Mm-hmm.
those are real life issues that we're having to deal with, and they're very problematic and
So
scary.
when we have these issues, so tell
Mhm.
me what are some things that you work through? Do you work through with your business partners? Do you journal? Do you meditate? You go for walks, I know that.
Yeah,
But what are
I go for
some
a
what are
walk.
some other things that can help you work through these issues?
Well, so I have to remind myself, and it's actually interesting because you go, okay, what do I do in situations like this? So I do go for a walk. I think mobility is great. You
Mm-hmm.
get your body start moving, and then juices flowing, and then you do get some positive energy. And I call up a friend, You
Yes.
know, my natural inclination is to not to talk to anybody. I kind of go cave in more, but I make
Yeah.
myself talk about it with somebody because
Mhm.
I think that's kind of like taking a walk, right? You get your body moving and you're speaking, and you get your mental health sort of back in gear.
Mhm.
And I think what I like doing is learning, and being curious about something always gives me a new perspective and energy. So I was going to do that after our call today. Something I've been meaning to do for a while is understand accounting a little better. You know, I understand a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit, but it's always a good tool to have as a asset manager,
Mhm.
an entrepreneur, to see what financials financials look like and be able to recognize problems or errors. So I thought maybe I could take an online course. I
Oh,
think John Astorif, I know you know this person. He's
yeah.
a Neurogym CEO founder. He's a big brain guy, neuroscientist.
Mhm.
And he talks about turning your fear into energy by thinking about actions. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I said
Yeah.
that correctly, but I try to remember that and think about actions that I can take. And that does help subside the fear, and at least the paralysis feels a little bit looser.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? What do you do?
Well, I'm the same way. So I like to look for the future. So
Mhm.
right now, with everything, with this deal falling through and some other deals are kind of put on hold, they were supposed to
Mhm.
be closing here in a couple months. Now it's going to be even longer before they close. So
Yeah.
what I do is I'm like, first of all, I am notorious for saying this, everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
So apparently, whatever was meant to be will happen, you know. I have to learn more patience apparently than what I already have,
I don't have very much, so I need a lot of
which kind
learning.
of makes me mad, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And exercise is vital. Exercise is very
Yes.
vital. I write in a gratitude journal every night. I meditate, but then also I'm the same with you. I'm turning that fear into action. So
Mhm.
I'm taking this time now. I'm writing ebooks, and I'm kind of when I'm writing ebooks, I'm
Mhm.
also writing for the future. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm writing to help my future self
Mhm.
and my
Oh,
future
okay.
business
Uh-huh.
to overcome these hurdles when and if it happens again.
Mhm.
So I'm trying not to stick my head in the sand, but I'm also dealing with, like I said, I listened to accountants today on this Facebook
Mhm.
Live about this new
Mhm.
stimulus bill. Plus, I would
Mhm.
like to also learn more about accounting. Um, I've been reading a
Mhm.
lot of books saying, yes, you need to know. Well, of course, I know profit and loss statements, but
Yeah.
just to be able to understand them better and
Yeah.
to understand more the accounting part of it. It's so ironic. When I was even 5 years ago, I didn't want to know anything about accounting,
Yeah. I mean,
which
it's one of those topics people are like,
I
it doesn't
know.
sound too fun.
And a friend
But
of
actually,
mine,
I actually like it. Yeah, I'm sure as you learn a little bit about it, you
yeah,
kind of see the little bit of beauty in that,
I
right?
do. And I love the
It's kind of a
numbers,
neat
ironically.
thing.
The numbers are fun now. I never
Numbers are
thought they
kind of
were fun
fun.
before, but now I
Yeah.
think they're fun to learn. So then,
Yeah, they're kind
like
of
Russell
fun.
Gray, the real estate guys,
Yeah.
the the numbers will tell the story.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so for me, that's what I'm doing, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to keep one step ahead. I'm
Mhm.
actually, ironically enough, it's almost like I've been more productive in this last
Oh,
almost 2 weeks than I have in a long time.
good for you. Wow, that's impressive. That is really
Well, I
impressive.
don't know
I can't
how,
say the
but
same. I can't say the same, but the days are going by way faster, and I'm not sure how they're getting filled. I know that I am reading so much more than I did, just because there's so much information out there,
there
webinars
is.
and things to read and news
Yes.
updates and such. So I think that's filling up a lot of time.
Yeah. And I'm
So
the same
you
way. I'm
said
reading a lot too.
yeah, yeah. That could be good or bad on depending on your day, right?
It could be. You're right.
Yeah. So in 2008, you said you put your head in the sand and kind of waited for it to go away. And you said you realized you shouldn't do that. What is there a particular reason why you say that?
Yeah, so we had a particular property that was a problem property.
Oh.
Our other properties were actually able to sell. Thankfully,
Mm.
I kind of saw it before everything came to light, but one property was not. And I was contacting investors from out of state and attorneys and stuff like this and saying, what do I do? It was really like our first investment, which was
Mhm.
really, really dumb how I wrote up the rental agreement and everything else. And it
Mhm.
was people that we knew. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
anyway, it wasn't a good deal. And when everybody was telling me no, after I got about 10 no's on things I wanted to do, I kind of put my head in the sand. And
Mm.
then, unfortunately, it's not the smartest thing you should ever do in your life.
Mhm.
And we lost big time with it. But it
Mm.
was also a good learning experience. It was a good
Yeah.
learning
Yeah.
experience to know never to do that again,
Yeah.
but also to learn for the future. So
Yeah.
I have vowed since
Absolutely.
then I'm not going to put my head in the sand, and I'm going to keep moving forward no matter what.
You don't seem like a type of person to me who would ever put your head in the sand and wait for things to go away. But we all have
In
our
that
moments. I
particular
do know that.
instance, yeah,
Hmm.
and that, I guess at that point I had so much other stuff going on
Hmm.
that
Yes.
it was just like it
Yeah.
was almost one hurdle too many that I
Yeah.
couldn't endure at that time.
Exactly. Yeah, and
So
when things happen in our lives, they seem to happen all at once,
yeah.
doesn't it for you? I
Yes.
see myself included, but I see people around me, and when things happen, they always happen in a row, so it makes it
Yes.
very
I know.
challenging.
Why is that anyway? I
I don't know.
don't
I never knew why that was, but
me either.
I yeah, it's unfortunate, but at least you get it over all at once. I don't know.
Exactly, right? So it's like it's all of a sudden it comes in and then it leaves. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
well, learn the lesson, whatever that lesson's supposed to be.
yeah, yeah,
And, depending on what you're working on at whatever that
yeah.
juncture is in your life, you learn the
Right.
lesson and you move on. You know what,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
and I should do, seriously, we should be writing ebooks for the future too.
Yeah, yeah, I do write, and
She's like, yeah,
I
maybe.
no, well, I do write just for myself. I don't know about for other people, but I do
Mhm.
write. I think I talked about this with you before. I do write incorporating what I learn into my daily life so that I can see how I'm applying it, how it's showing up, and also
Mhm.
maybe, to share. But it is a great thing to do. It does calm my nerves and
Mhm.
gives me that energy from within. So another thing that I wanted to mention, when we do have difficulties and you're just running into one problem after another, I think it's really important. And again, I don't do this very well either, but it's important to ask people for help.
Yes.
Maybe not, maybe first five people won't have answers, but
Mhm.
maybe the sixth person will. And so if you just ask for help, there's a solutions out there that you might not have known about. And I'll give you a
Mhm.
real life example. I
Mhm.
had a property, and it was just my nightmare scenario. It was half vacant, and I let it get to that point because I wasn't on top of the property manager. It was sort of like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's one of those situations, like one problem after another. It just got worse and worse, and I just couldn't deal with it anymore. It just, oh my God, what could go wrong in addition to all of this? People were like stealing copper pipe out of that building.
Oh my gosh.
Gunshots, and I mean, you name it, everything happened. So I couldn't deal. I needed to get rid of it, but of course it wasn't, I couldn't even go through the logistics of finding a buyer. I mean,
Mhm.
first of all, it was at a huge, underwater valuation wise, because it was more than half vacant, not to
Mhm.
mention missing copper pipe, copper pipes for plumbing. But a dear friend helped me such a great deal. He found me a person who specializes in loan modification negotiations with the bank.
Oh.
And so I got introduced to that person who successfully negotiated with the bank for me to go on some sort of a payment plan. and also reduce the loan amount, the principal amount. And then also that person also helped me find a way to talk to, I found the broker who found the buyer, and not to say I got away unscathed. I lost a lot of money on that deal, but it got sold, and I did have to go through a loan modification problem, but it was something that I could live with. And most of all, I didn't go crazy because I was going to go crazy, and it didn't keep me down. So 10 years later, I'm in a much better place. But that's a perfect case of where you should ask for help, and somebody might have a solution. Like, I never knew there was a guy who specializes in loan modification negotiations. So
I think I had heard of them, but back, because that's about, well, I was in 2008 is when I had, we were having the trouble. And those adjustable rate mortgages, and I probably should have reached out to somebody like that. And again, if you even get turned down 10 times like I did, go after the 11th and 12th and 13th, just, keep going, like Sonia said, because it's eventually you're going to get somebody that will help you, or know somebody who can help you. And, don't do like I did, just give up. Because
it's hard though. It's hard.
It is.
When you're just, you get no's, you keep getting no's, and you get more and more discouraged. It's really hard to go and continue your strive.
It is. And through those failures or through those instances, I think we learn more from them than we do our successes.
Yeah.
Because you remember the pain, and you remember the issues and how you felt during it all. At least I do. And to me, it was like,
of course,
okay, I remember this.
Of course. Yeah, I definitely agree. But we don't want everybody to go through acute pain. So again, I think it's extremely,
we don't want to do that.
It's extremely important to reach out to people that and that's why we're having this forum, and
that's right.
We value each other's experience and knowledge, or just support. I could just. I'm scared today, and I'm able to call Joe and say, I'm scared because I could see the magnitude of the problem coming down the pipeline, and I feel a little paralyzed. Just by saying that, I feel a little better.
Yeah, isn't it? Because when you verbalize it, it just like it brings it out, and you're like, oh, maybe I feel better now.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something I didn't know. And I kind of know right now it's too early to say it's a long-term or short-term kind of thing. So short-term wise, we're okay. So yes, by verbalizing to a friend, you could feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, especially somebody who understands.
Yes.
Because other people who don't understand, they might gasp for air and go, my gosh, what's going on? The world's coming to an end. But if you talk to people who understand, then it's not so bad.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
You verbalize it,
Yeah.
And this morning I was telling Sonia I wasn't feeling so good, and I honestly think it was allergy related, because this time of year I get allergies. But then you think, oh my gosh, is it coronavirus, or is it this, or is it that? So it's almost like you psych yourself out.
Exactly.
And then when I talk to a couple of friends, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, just instantly, well, not instantly, but after a little bit of time, I started feeling better.
Oh yeah.
But when you isolate yourself, and you're like, you're almost your own worst enemy.
Yes, that's very true. I think maybe, now that you say that, partly the reason I kind of started going down on the downward trajectory is because I went to the grocery store this morning, and then I saw a scene that I hadn't seen before, which is that there was a line out the grocery store, and people were standing like 10 feet apart, and they weren't letting people into the grocery store all at once. They were maintaining less density. And then they were wiping things down like crazy, which is great, which is very prudent, but it was a scary scene. It was something that I'm not used to seeing. So maybe that kind of got me on a little bit of a mode where you're too thick in it. And so
and as here in America, we're just not used to that. We're used to coming and going as we please, walking in, walking out, doing whatever we want.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're restricted. Yeah. And that's right in our face when we walk to the stores. We're like, whoa. I mean, I remember the first time I saw an empty shelf at my store. I was like, what?
I know. The this is so true, right? And we're so used to seeing our supermarkets full of stuff, fully stocked. And so you see something, an empty shelf, and you start to panic a little bit. You're like, what's wrong? Maybe I should go out and find this thing that I don't need.
We get that scarcity mindset.
Yes.
That, we have to, I think they call them hoarders, we have to but in reality, we don't have to. But a lot of people, that's what's happening. So
yeah, and as we're saying this, I think your deal will come through, and you probably even find a better deal.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking I wasn't supposed to get it for a reason. Again, I'm that eternal optimist. I probably should be more of a realist, but I'm an eternal optimist, and I really do think everything happens for a reason. I think if this, I apparently wasn't supposed to have this, then something better that went on the wayside, something better will be coming down the road.
Yes.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And while I'm saying this, we can definitely survive the next couple months for sure with whatever we can piece together. So I definitely don't need to panic now, put my head in the sand and that kind of stuff. So
we definitely don't need to be doing that. We definitely don't need to be putting our head. It's also great because we have each other and we know others that are in the same boat that we are. And so that's another reason why we brought this group together, is because we're here to help. We're here to answer your questions. And if you do get stuck, feel free to reach out to us. We're telling you just little bits of our story right now. There's lots more we could tell. But
for sure.
We want you to reach out to us, and we want you to not ever feel like you have to put your head in the sand, because Tony and I both have that giving personality, and we want to be able to help. So that's why we're here.
Yes. And then it helps us too, obviously, because the bigger the forum, the bigger sharing that we do, it helps us get stronger too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's interesting. It's as scary as this thing that's going on is. I talk with my daughter, and we talk about the fact that really it was World War II that enabled women to come forward and start taking up jobs in our country, because the men were off fighting war. And then after that is when we as women started having some rights and making progress in terms of blending in and going out there, becoming the power force that we're on our way to become. So that was the beginning, and we have to remember that sometimes events like this is not all bad. There's good that come out of this, and we can thrive afterwards.
It's just like a reset button, even as early or late as whatever you call it, 1988. I was in college then, but women still had to have their husband sign for their business loan.
Yes.
Crazy. When I learned that, I'm like, what?
Crazy. Right?
Now we don't need that, of course, but even as early as 1988.
Yeah, so unthinkable.
It blows my mind. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. And how the freedom that we have.
Yeah, well, speaking of the relief bill, and speaking of things that's unthinkable just a few weeks ago, you're like, oh yeah, that of course. I find it kind of humorous, Andrew Yang, who was of course a contender for the Democratic nomination for president. One of his key thing was universal income, right? $1,200 to every American per month, and that. I remember I like Andrew Yang, but I remember thinking that's never gonna fly in this country. And then here we are, universal income. That's pretty much what it is. And you're like, now it's accepted and it's like implemented. So
because it had to take a crisis,
had to take a crisis.
This.
You're right.
For it to occur.
Yeah.
And now with so many people wanting to work and they can't work. Yeah. It's, that even makes it more tragic.
Yeah.
So thankfully we get it, but I did like him too. I thought he would have been great.
He is great. And I don't think he's done, but I'm excited to see what he's going to
He's young too. And that's the one thing I like about him. He's young.
And he's Asian American. Yay. More diversity is good.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And next up, female president too, one of these days.
Oh, yes. Hopefully very soon.
We need it.
Well, Well, thank you, Joe. I feel a lot better. So
Good. Yeah,
I'm
I do
glad
too,
you're
Sonia.
here to
I'm so
share.
glad. Yeah, see, this is the power of networks and connections.
Yeah.
She reached out to me. I told her what my woe was this morning. We talked about our woes. We're like, all right, she said, let's get on a call. I'm like, absolutely. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully by doing it semi-public like this, we also help somebody else too. So thank you. Thank you again. I'm so glad I have you to talk with and to share.
Oh, I feel the same way. It's almost like this. Oh, okay. Now I can breathe again.
Yes.
And for our group, you can come onto Facebook and search the group. So it's Facebook.com/groups with the S/Women Creating Wealth Together. And come join our group. We'd love to have you. And also we have a Facebook business page as well under that same exact name.
Yep. Well, thank you again, Joe. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
I know it's getting kind of late over there. So, and I will talk to you very soon.
Hey, you know what? The sun is shining. That's all that matters.
That's very true. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.